Hi, welcome along. My name is Donal Carr, and this is a short clip from Place of CHEK. Today we want to talk about foam rolling, myofascial release and stretching techniques. What we've noticed from a lot of new clients coming in that have used a foam roller before, there's some differences of opinions and some instructional things that we do different here using a foam roller. First of all, there's very different tools you can use to do stretching, mobilization and myofascial release. The concept that's out there at the moment, foam rolling fascia, is I think a very flawed technique. There are some benefits to foam rolling, but there's obviously the right way and the wrong way. So let's just clarify a couple of things for you. We're talking about here, if we're doing myofascial release, as very different to doing mobilization, as very different to doing stretching. If you're trying to do fascial release, fascia is a connective tissue that intercases or interlaces through the whole system. Most of us would understand that fascia is tubes of water that are integrated through the muscle, the tendon, the ligament. They encase those structures and they envelop or integrate into the joint capsule and then come out the other side. When we release fascia, we need to actually entrap the fascia and move the muscle or the bundle of material underneath it. Actually, rolling fascia does not actually change the fascial structure. All it does is heat up or warm up, may pump blood flow or lymphatic flow through that system. So you'll see a lot of people using a foam roller. The classic one is the classical IT band roll, where a person will lie on the foam roller and they'll roll up and down. This is very dangerous and something that I don't use for a couple of reasons. One of the things is, depending on the type of tool you use, can actually cause some damage. Also in lymphatic drainage and muscle massage and getting rid of waste products, we always pump the waste products towards the heart. However, if you do some friction work and some mobilization with foam rollers, as long as you don't have too much of your body weight and the right tool, you could actually move in all different directions. However, if you're not familiar with the lymphatic system, the nervous system, and the vascular system, you can damage your body. So please consult a well-trained exercise professional or healthcare professional before you do that. So if you want to do a myofascial release for the IT band and not just roll up and down to warm up your system and create mobility in the body, but actually make long-term lasting results, when you do your IT band foam roll, you always start just above the knee or above the joint. You never foam roll over a joint. And what we would do is hold that, and once we find that tender spot, what we would then do is start to move in an active release where the bottom leg is now moving the muscle. So I've entrapped the muscle, and now what I've done is move the structure underneath, which creates that tension. And I would want to do that in a slow, repetitive movement, and I could do this for up to 2 minutes in one spot. I have to be careful not to compress down, like when you do a trigger point. If you hold that down for more than 20 seconds, you start to create cell death. So if you entrap that and stop blood supply or entrap a nerve, you'll also get tingling or numbness or referral pain down your leg. If you've done that, you've gone on a nerve. And for an uneducated person, that could be very dangerous if you don't know that you're on a nerve. So you need to come off that. And if you know the neural anatomy, you can go to a different position. So myofascial release techniques, foam rollers, can be also used to mobilize the system. And we see a lot of people using mobilizations for the thoracic spine, where people will use a bigger blue foam roller to go over their back. Now this can cause a problem too, because the width of the foam roller can cause not enough pressure to actually mobilize the joint. So a simple one that we would normally do is lying on the foam roller, interlocking our fingers, placing behind their head to support the neck and head, and extending over the foam roller. From here again, if you're rolling up and down through the spine, depending on the type of roller, could damage the spinous process of the spine. So it's not very good to roll down the spine this way, which the spine has the vertebrae in the thoracic spine at an angle, and if you're rolling over the top of them, you can actually break the dorsal process of the back of your spinal column. So the vertebrae, the little bone that comes out, the dorsal process can actually bend and break off. Where if you're rolling back over it this way, as I go and start from the bottom and I move up a segment, extend, move up a segment and extend, what I'm actually doing is pushing the foam roller against the spinous process, not coming down the spinous process to break the spinous process. Also, when you're releasing off this, it's very important not just to lift up, but actually roll off. If you're not at the end of the roller, you can actually pop a rib. I've had many personal trainers and clients that have damaged their ribs from poor instruction here. The other option is to use different tools like pressure balls or trigger point balls, or getting two tennis balls taped together, or this is great physio balls that are a great little tool, that they're compressed two balls that can go along the spine. Again, they need proper instruction. Very easy with these tools to go in too deep, and when you go in and you stabilize and you get a point, you actually have to actually actively mobilize and actively release. So if I was going to do something on my calf, if I find a tight spot in my calf, now I actually have to move my foot to get an active release. It's not just about pressure point and holding it there. That's actually doing nothing really to release that. We need to move the fascia and the muscle underneath once it's encased. So there's a couple of tips that I'd like to give you more about, but we have got some great classes here and great tools here at Place of CHEK. If you have any comments or questions, please pop them in down below and we'll get back to you on our feedback. Otherwise, come along to one of our classes on stretching, come into our yoga, come into our Eldoa classes, come to our core classes, and if not, tune in the next time at Place of CHEK for the next tip.